2022, 23. It's going to be a great year. We're excited about this, and I just want to thank God for all the great things that He's going to have doing for us this year and what He's done for us in the past. Also want to thank each one of you because you're going to make a difference in some kids' lives this year. When they come to school and you have them engaged and you're making them better and better every day, I just want to thank you to begin with. We are Muleshoe, and we're focused. We're going to take care of a great school year this year. And, you know, we've been nominated for this Blue Ribbon School. We're going to find out sometime in September a little bit more about that. So that's going to be exciting. I'm going to ask Mr. Sergio Leal and Mr. David Vela to come and do the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll please stand.
Good morning. I want to thank y'all for all that you do and all that you're going to do this year. Let us pray. Almighty God, by your gift alone, we come to wisdom and true understanding. Look with favor, we pray, on our schools and our community, that knowledge may be increased among us and wholesome learning flourish and abound. Bless those who teach and those who learn, and grant that in humility of heart they may ever look to you, the fountain of all wisdom, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Let us receive this blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and grant you peace. And may the Lord bless the work of your hands. Amen.
Please join me with honoring our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas flag.
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
I want to introduce our student members this morning, and most of them are sitting right over here. Miss Ashley Turnbow, if you'll stand up. Mr. Jesus Tovar, Mr. Curtis Preston, Mr. Steve Clifton, and Mr. Sergio Leal. They've been very beneficial in making sure that we're steering the right way and making sure that our school system is headed the right way. I appreciate their attitudes and them representing the community so much. And so, as we start this year, Mr. Hill will be new over at the administration office, and so we want to present a united front. We know that you'll engage kids. We know that with the common sense planning, that you'll do a great job on working with each other to advance those kids and grow them every day that you can. And those 4 questions for common sense planning is, what will a student learn? What will we do if they have difficulty or they don't learn it? What will we do if they do learn it? And what will we do to help them improve every day? Mr. Hill?
And when Dr. Richards talked about, different things we wanted to do this year, one of the things was engagement, which we've done. Muleshoe's great at engagement, and I was fortunate enough a few days ago to be in with 30 teachers. Spent, we look at everything the teachers do. These approximately 30 teachers on the vertical alignment committee or team spent, one day a month last year, starting at 4. Sometimes I talked to one of them, she worked 2 to 3 hours evening on it. And with the vertical alignment, what's neat about it is it helps us in so many ways, but one of the ways is engagement. We're able to keep kids focused, and when we align that way, there is a little bit of flow, the achievement is increased. Also, there is consistency and communication with the teachers. And it was amazing listening to these 30 teachers and talking about the different things that they did, but one in particular talked about how much more it helped her engage her kids. And we're, as humans, kind of hardwired. We're hardwired to, we want to be engaged. And it's neat when you walk around the classrooms that I've walked around when I was at the high school, and then seeing at the registration, the engagement that, whether it's all staff members, not only the teachers, but the engagement that we have with the community that is unique here in Muleshoe. Going back to the vertical team that spent so much time, there's a lot of communities that don't align vertically, or a lot of schools. And it's just, it's so neat to watch those, really all 30 of them talk about what they have learned and how that helps them understand, from a 6th grade teacher to what Ms. Taylor's doing with the algebra kids. So as we start the year off, you know, engagement obviously, that's one of the key things, and that's one of the things that Muleshoe has that is great.
Thanks, Mr. Hill. We're going to start with some door prizes, Mr. Hill. And so as we get going here, let's see, we just want to remind y'all that we are all Muleshoe and that we're all working together. Oops. That was our, this is our mission statement of what we're trying to accomplish. Mr. Hill, do you have some door prizes?
Angel Reyes. It was creased. Manda Riggin. Yes. Mary Lee Midas.
Castorena.
There's no better way to start off a school year than have a celebrity come. We've asked Don Elder to come speak to us today. He grew up in Farmington, or was born in Farmington, Minnesota in 1952? Yeah. Okay. And he grew up in Marshalltown, Iowa. He graduated from high school there. He went on to Northwestern University and received a certificate of teaching from Northern Iowa. He taught social studies in high school for a few years, and then he decided to go to a graduate school at the University of California in San Diego. He got his master's degree there and then his PhD. He taught at Redlands University, and then he made the trip to Eastern New Mexico University. He's become a stable force at Eastern New Mexico University in so many ways. He's been a sportscaster for Blue Moon Broadcasting. He co-hosts the Morning Throwdown. He even did it this morning before he came to work here, and then he hosted a television show, The Sports Look, on KNW. He was inducted into the ENMU Hall of Honors just a few years ago, and my daughter was inducted at that same time. And he's also a member of the New Mexico Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame, and he just received an honor just recently. This is his second time, the Lone Star Conference Broadcaster of the Year. Will you help me welcome Doc Elder?
We're good. All right, a little technical difficulty there. I don't know, can you hear me without a mic?
Yes.
Can you hear me in the back?
Yes.
All right, let's do that. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Muleshoe's 2022-2023 Back to School Seminar. As Arnold Richards pointed out, I'm Doc Elder, and I am really happy to be here this morning. Let me rephrase that. I'm really happy to be here. For this reason, according to my watch, it is now 8:30 here in Central Time Zone. Let's do some math. Subtract 9 hours and 30 minutes from 8:30 a.m. You have 11 o'clock last night, right? Well, probably at 11 o'clock, because you're all good, responsible people. You were already sound asleep, getting a good night's sleep, getting ready for your big day today. 11 o'clock last night Central Time, I was in an airplane touching down on the runway at DFW. And you're saying, that's a little late for you, isn't it, Doc? Yeah, it's a little late, but it was a little late in another regard. It was an hour and 45 minutes late for when it was supposed to touch down, which meant that I was now 5 minutes late for my connecting flight from DFW to Lubbock. And why was I in an airplane touching down at DFW at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night? Well, because this weekend I was in Chicago for a wedding. My last nephew got married, and my son Cam was groomsman. And so I went to the wedding, and we decided to stay an extra day, and we went to the Cubs game yesterday afternoon. Cubs lost, by the way, but it was okay. It was wrinkly, it was baseball, it was great. And we both had flights because we were going to get back at a reasonable time. And his flight took off on time, and mine kept delaying, gate change, delaying, gate change, delaying, gate change. And finally, I looked at my watch and I realized there's no way, unless I'm getting on board the Starship Enterprise that's got fortunate capabilities, that I'm going to get to DFW to make my flight to Lubbock. And I thought, well, I've got Coach Hill's number. I can text him and I can say, Coach, I'm stranded in Dallas. I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to bail on being the introductory speaker. But after 5 seconds, I thought, I can't do that to Muleshoe. I love the Muleshoes, literally. I've got so many connections going back 26 years now. 1996. My son Cam had the privilege of playing for Coach Hill. Coach Hill used to be the head baseball coach for Tawas, and my son Cam was lucky enough to make the varsity in his junior year. First start was against Muleshoe, right here in Muleshoe. Got 3 hits that day. Took him another year to have another 3-hit game. But my gosh, he had one, and it was right here in Muleshoe. And then I have a younger son, Brian, who had never shown any interest in football. But when he got into 7th grade, he had buddies that played football, and he said, Dad, I want to get football. And I was like, okay. So he became a member of the 7th grade team at Portal Junior High, and his first football game was right here in Muleshoe. They got killed that day, but my gosh, it was his first experience. Here's my son, number 14, out there on the football field, and he had his pants on right and everything like that. I'm so proud of him. And then, as Dr. Richard pointed out, I've had the privilege of broadcasting Eastern sports for a long time. And one of the guys that played basketball for Eastern was a guy by the name of Carlton Lewis. I broadcast his game. And we had a Zeta basketball player back in those days, now they're the Lady Greyhounds, named Lindsey Wood. And then we had a football player by the name of Lane Wood. Then we had a football player by the name of Westwood. If you got any more Wood kids, send them our way, we can certainly use them. But they were great kids. They were model student athletes. And so I have nothing but respect for Muleshoe, Texas. I know the quality of the young men and the young women that you are preparing. And I thought to myself, I can't let you down. So I thought, what can I do? Obviously, there's no plane that's flying after the plane that I was supposed to be on in Lubbock. So the last thing I did before they tell you to shut off your cell phones in the airplane is I went to the Enterprise Rent-A-Car website, and I rented a car to pick up at 11 o'clock at DFW so that I could drive here. Yeah, let that sink in. Well, as it turned out, very first thing I did when I touched down in DFW was I turned on my cell phone to let my son Cam know, yeah, you got lucky. You're back at, you're probably asleep right now. I'm just getting to DFW. and all of a sudden I had a text from American Airlines. My plane was an hour 45 late getting into DFW. My plane from DFW to Lubbock was an hour and 50 minutes late. For this reason, you're not going to believe this. You're going to think this is a Doc Elder story. No, this is actually. They had boarded the plane, and the pilot turned on the plane and looked good enough at the gauges and saw that the plane was practically empty on fuel. Now, if you're driving from Dallas to Lubbock and you run out of gas, it's just mildly annoying. If you're flying from Dallas to Lubbock and you run out of gas, that's a little more of a problem. So wisely, they had to wait. And surprisingly enough, there's not a gas station open at DFW, but it's like 10:30 at night. So it took a while for them to get filled up. And that allowed me to get on a plane, to fly to Lubbock, to drive back to Dallas, to shave, get a couple hours sleep, and be here this morning. But by gosh, I was willing to rent a car and fly. So in the words of Bill Murray from the movie Caddyshack, at least I got that going for me. So, yeah, I'm here and I am supposed to get you prepped for the 2022-2023 school year. Now, if you're a veteran, you already know this, but for you new people, you can have two really, really different experiences this year. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to play you two songs from back in the 1970s that are going to illustrate vision number one and vision number two. Vision number one, we're going to start out with a group called Crosby, Stills and Nash. And so in the back, I've got my equivalent of DJ Jazzy Jeff, Miss Susan, and she's going to cue up a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song right now. Either that or I'm going to have to sing it for you. So you better take all the words here. Word first, we have my jump right last. Okay, I won't sing it for you. I will just simply recite the lyrics, the first lyrics. You who are on the road should have a code that you can live by and so become yourselves, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well. Wow, inspirational song. It's got a good country beat in the background, so it's really neat. Google it when you get home. That's vision number one. Rainbows. Just like there's a rainbow. Like when I came, that was so cool. I mean, hopefully it was a good omen. Vision number two, a song also from the 1970s by a group called Pink Floyd. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone. All in all, you're just another brick of the wall. Ouch. Ouch. But yeah, those are the two visions. You can have a Crosby, Stills and Nash school year, or you can have a Pink Floyd year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and help you lean towards Crosby, Stills and Nash. But some of you may be saying, Doc, obviously you know music. You can recite lyrics on the top of your head. But as Dr. Richards pointed out, you were a social studies teacher on the high school level. Show of hands, how many of you in here are social studies teachers at Muleshoe High? All sitting together. I like that. Group solidarity. Right on. Not very many. Most of you are not social studies teachers at Muleshoe High. So what can I tell you about your school year? I can actually tell you a lot for this reason. I was a teacher in Iowa. There are two big differences between being a teacher in Iowa and being a teacher in Texas. Difference number one, while the kids in Iowa are generally polite, they don't refer to me as yes sir or no sir. Every kid from Muleshoe that I've ever had, yes sir, no sir. So that's one big difference. Difference number two, you have the Texas Classroom Teachers Association. And if I understand correctly, we have a young lady in the audience that was honored by that organization as the Principal of the Year. Is Cindy Bessire in here? Cindy in the house? I mean, I think it's pretty cool that I'm in the New Mexico Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame. But New Mexico is a really small state. There aren't that many broadcasters. You're up against a lot of principals, so that is really a challenge. We obviously in Iowa didn't have the Texas Classroom Teachers Association. In Iowa, you've got the NEA, National Education Association. Every school district in Iowa is an NEA school district. For this reason, the NEA is the collective bargaining agent for the school districts. The NEA negotiates every salary for everybody who gets a paycheck from that school district. Custodians, physical planners, cooks, bus drivers, teachers, coaches. And for some strange reason, after 7 years in Benton, Iowa, my colleagues elected me to be president of the local chapter of the NEA, which meant that I had to go to the school board and I had to negotiate contracts for everybody. What did I know about what a maintenance person did or a cook did? I mean, on some level, I bet. I mean, that's close. So how could I go and talk to the school board and say, my bus drivers deserve this much money. My cooks deserve this much money. The only way I figured I could do that was by actually finding out what they did. So I asked the janitor, I said, when do you, let me accompany you. And I found out that the janitors actually did their work after the school day was over. For this reason, they were afraid that if they mopped the floors before the start of the day, some eager fourth grader was going to come running in, was going to slip, was going to have an accident. Physical plant, on the other hand, they did their mowing when the weather was nice, which is a couple months. They did their snow blowing 4 or 5 months out, because it snows way more in Iowa than it's nice, before the day. Because they didn't want to do it while the day was going on and have the teachers have to try to deal with the noise of a mower. And so they got up early and did their work before the start of the school day. Cooks, they really cared. They didn't just dish up mashed potatoes here, take it or leave it. They really wanted the best quality food every day for their students. Bus drivers, I totally got, after I rode a bus for one day, an episode of South Park where Eric and Kenny and Kyle and Stan are on the bus and they're just creating a whole bunch of noise, and all of a sudden you hear this screech of tires and all the kids get this really terrified look on their face, and then the next scene is Miss Crabtree, the bus driver. She's holding a rabbit by his ears, and she takes out a gun, pulls it up to the buddy and says, "If you don't settle down, I will shoot this buddy." I totally got that out of me. I don't think Dr. Richards and Mr. Hill would really appreciate that, but I did. Okay, which leaves me with teachers. Well, yeah, I knew what social studies teachers did, but what did I know about everybody else? Well, actually, I knew what other teachers did. My first few years, I had American history. That was the subject I was best at, taught American history, loved every minute of it. And then it turned out that the guy who taught government and econ had never had a class in either political science or economics. and we were coming up for accreditation, and the school district thought, that's not gonna look very good. Got a person teaching government and econ that's never had a class in either. So I got shifted over. But, I'm not sure, is it the same way here that it is virtually everywhere else that you take that when you're a senior? So I had seniors. Well, great, because I knew the seniors in Vin got out a week early at the end of the year. And it's like, come to think of it, I had never seen the government teacher the last week of the school year. So I thought I got like a week's paid vacation. That's gonna be great. No, turned out that the reason I hadn't seen the government teacher was because Vin, Iowa, thinking they had a teacher that had no responsibility that week, but they needed substitute teachers. They made the government teacher the substitute teacher. So Monday, I go walking into the junior high, and it's like an 8th grade English class. And kids are just, they're talking, and they're not settling down at the bell. And it's like, this never happens in my class. But I realized it didn't happen in my class because I had a rep at the high school. Kids knew that when you went into Mr. Alder's classroom, you settled down, you got ready for your routine, you had the bell on your activity and everything like that. These kids didn't know me, they didn't know it. So I had to like have my first day as a teacher again was 8th grade English. And the next day, I'm in the 4th grade. And the next day, I'm teaching science. And then I got to teach math, which was my worst subject. So I'm like in Groundhog Day. Every day I'm waking up and I'm having the first day of my teaching experience. But it taught me elementary. It taught me junior high. It taught me high school and other disciplines. So yeah, I think I'm here today, and I know what most of you go through because I was there. I've seen it, and I know how important you are. Nobody across this great nation of ours has a successful school if everybody is not doing his or her job. Whether you're the custodian, whether you're the person that takes care of the rats, whether you're the person that drives the bus, whether you're a cook, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a coach, you all are part of the team. And if you're not doing your job, it's not going to be a good educational experience. If you all do your job, it can be a great educational experience. So I'm, in my few minutes left here, I'm going to try and give you some suggestions about what you can do. First of all, I'm going to refer to an HBO television series that was on earlier this year. I don't know if any of you get HBO, any of you were interested in the series or not, but there was a series called Winning Time. It was about the 1980 Los Angeles Lakers. And there's a guy in there named Mark Landsberger. Doesn't have a very big part, but he's the tall guy with the blonde hair. He was 6'8" and was really a good rebounder. And so Magic Johnson, who put on a basketball camp every year down in San Diego, asked Mark Landsberger to come and teach rebounding, and said, okay, so you got a 2-hour time slot. Mark said, okay. And so when it was time for Mark Landsberger to do his rebounding session in the camp, Magic Johnson had to have a chance to get a bite to eat. So I thought, okay, I'm going to run to the UC San Diego cafeteria. This is how I know this story, because UC San Diego is where I was getting my PhD. So he goes to the cafeteria and comes back 25 minutes later, and the kids are just milling around. They're just, throwing up shots and just wandering around. And Landsberger's just sitting there on a bench. And Magic Johnson comes up and says, Mark, what's going on here? And Landsberger said, after 20 minutes, I ran out of things to say. So, word number 1, plan accordingly. Always plan more than you think you're going to need. Because if you have less than you think you're going to need, you're going to have chaos in the classroom. So that's advice number 1. Advice number 2 is also going to come from the world of sports. I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named Curt Flood. Curt Flood was the guy that is responsible for Juan Soto getting the insane amount of money that he got from the San Diego Padres to go play baseball for him. Because there used to be something in baseball called the reserve clause, which said that if you were a St. Louis Cardinal, you had to play for the St. Louis Cardinals. And you literally had to quit the game and sit out for a year before you could sign with another team. Kurt Flood challenged the reserve clause, the Supreme Court overturned it, and that's why Juan Soto got more money than the gross domestic product of a lot of third world countries. The Kurt Flood was a baseball player, and so he had to think, I'm good enough to challenge the clause, and the reason was because he really worked at becoming the best baseball player he could. And when he came up, he was a left-handed hitter, and he had trouble hitting a high inside fastball. Well, the Cardinals had a guy named Stan Musial, who was one of the greatest hitters of all time, who was a left-handed batter. And so Kurt asked him, his rookie year, said, Stan, how do you hit an inside fastball? Stan Musial thought for a minute, and they had just finished up practice, and so he said, okay, come on back out on the field with me. And he got throw some batting practice, and he said to the batting practice pitcher, throw me 10 inside fastballs. And so Musial, whack, whack, gets like 7 out of the park and hits 2 more line drives. I think he had like a hop or something like that. But, 9 out of 10, he's just ripping the ball. And then he throws the bat down, looks at Kurt Flood and said, like that. Okay, that's not very helpful. Just because you know how to hit an inside fastball and you can do it doesn't mean the people watching you are necessarily going to understand what you're trying to get across. And it's like, I'll give you an exercise. Have somebody walk into a room and teach you how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Have everything there. Have the bread, have the peanut butter, have the jelly, have the knife, have the spoon, everything like that. But literally do exactly what that person is telling you to do. And I guarantee nobody is going to tell you how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because they assume you're going to understand certain things. And if you play your role correctly, you're not going to do exactly what they tell you, because they're going to leave out some details. So that's my second word of advice to you. Third word of advice, I'm going to set the stage by giving you a little bit of history. And it's really cool. I see some familiar faces here, people that took classes from me at Eastern New Mexico. And they turned out okay. But one of the classes I teach is U.S. from 1945 to the present, so recent American history. And the first really big media, sensational, bad thing that happened that got covered by television was the Charlie Manson murder. Charles Manson was responsible for 6 really brutal killings that took place in Los Angeles in 1969. Charles Manson didn't kill anybody. What he did was he had followers that killed for him. He told them, go kill them. They did. And the followers were really a varied group of people. Some were men, some were women. Some were teenagers, some were in their 20s, some were in their 30s. They came from all different parts of the country, came from all different types of socioeconomic backgrounds, but they had one thing in common. They didn't feel connected. They had grown up in their lives and they didn't really feel that anybody cared about them. Until Charlie Manson did. And then they were willing to do unspeakable acts because he was their connection. He cared. I'm not saying that you've got a potential person that's going to follow a Charlie Manson in Muleshoe, Texas. I seriously doubt it. But you get my point. There is that potential. You have kids that may not leave Muleshoe really feeling connected, not really feeling like anybody cares about them. And all it takes is one of you. All it takes is one person really making that kid feel that he or she is important. So that's the most fundamental thing that you can do. Hopefully every kid that's going through Muleshoe turns out to be a doctor or something of that nature. But if they're productive members of society, if they're good people, if they treat their neighbors with respect, if they're proud to be an American, you've done your task. You have helped that kid have a better life than he or she would. So that's the best bit of advice that I can give you. But I will warn you that it's tough. There are kids that are going to challenge you. And I'm going to tell you a story about a precocious first grader. Precocious first grader went to class one day. It was springtime of his first grade year. And the teacher said they were going to do an art project that day. What they were going to do was they were going to have a traced image of a baby chick and a traced image of an umbrella. And they were going to cut out the baby chick and cut out the umbrella and glue the umbrella on the baby chick, so the baby chicks were carrying umbrellas because it was springtime and this is taking place in Iowa, so it's around Easter, so you got the chicks, and it rains a lot after it stops snowing in Iowa. And then you got 2 nice months, like I said, when the maintenance people come along. So the class is doing this, and everybody is coloring their chicks yellow, and the precocious first grader is coloring the chick blue. And the teacher walks up to this precocious first grader and says, "Young man, have you ever seen a blue baby chick?" Precocious first grader looks at the teacher and says, "Miss Smith, have you ever seen a baby chick carrying an umbrella?" Well, the precocious youngster thought he was being very funny and lasted until he went to the principal's office. That was bad enough, but his father was the president of the school board and felt that this needed to set an example for everybody else, and so precocious youngster learned a painful lesson, shall we say, about flying in the classroom and so on. Gee, I wonder whatever happened to that kid. But the point is, you're going to get challenged. You're going to have precocious youngsters like that. Teaching basically boils down to 10% of your kids are going to come to class. They're always going to be prepared. They're going to sit on the edge of their seats. They're going to lean forward, and they're going to say, "Teach me." Now, right about now, Steve, a couple of days ago, I've heard this story before because they took my social studies methods class at Eastern New Mexico University, and no story goes out of style with Doc Elder. So you got 10% of the kids come to class, they're prepared, they're leaving for it, they say teach. And then you got 80% of the kids that, usually come to class prepared, and they're usually relatively cooperative and okay, teach. And then you got 10% of the kids that come to class, never prepared. When they come, they sit back, they fold their arms, and they say, "Try to teach me." So you're going to have all spectrums, but you got to love them all. They are all equally important. You've got to try and help them. And I honestly think you people are prepared. I was watching your mission team. You get it. You understand that you are trying to make education as good an experience for your students as you possibly can. You're going to figure out ways to keep the 10% that really want to be there engaged. You're going to find ways to keep the 10% that don't really want to be there engaged, and you're going to help the 80% of the middle. So I appreciate each and every one of you because you're preparing the people that are going to be the future of America. My day's done. I'd like to think my generation did some good things, but time for us to, not to say it literally. It's time for younger people, and we need young people that are engaged, young people that care. And if you can help just one kid this year become more engaged, more with it, you have done Muleshoe, you've done Texas, and you've done the United States a great service. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. And like I said, I'm really, really glad I'm here because otherwise I'd be in Dallas right yesterday. So thanks so much for the opportunity and have a great year.
Mr. Hill and Mr. Lubricano, will y'all start doing the door prizes? And let's give Doc one more round of applause. So everyone stand up while we're doing the door prize.
Janet Wardell. And the last one right now, Vanessa M. Ramirez.
I'm sitting right here. Thank you. We'll see.
Okay, everybody have a seat. All the teachers that continue to stay here at Muleshoe, just like when the student stays in the school system, eventually they just continue to grow and get better and better, the same way with our teachers. So we're going to start off with the 5-year plaque. So instead of a plaque, we're going to give a cup that's embroidered from Evolve with their names on it and a Muleshoe symbol. So we'll call 5 in a row and then we'll applaud after that. Miss Rebecca Bell, Miss Victoria Bomer, Miss Rosemary Pastorina, Miss Raylan Kaufman, and Miss Kerry Frost, all for 5 years. Over here, Rebecca.
All right. Thank you so much.
Here. The next group of 5-year service awards: Georgina Gonzalez, Humberto Gonzalez, Jessica Myrick, Jasmine Mendoza, and Lucero Ramirez. The next group of 5-year service awards: Samantha Sias, Misty Simmons, Lena Smith, and Rosie Bella. 10-year service awards. That sounded a little larger, didn't it? Alma Cardenas, Libby Herrera, Suzanne King, Marilee Milas. We appreciate the school board for helping hand these out. Some more 10-year service awards. Kathleen Patterson, Carolyn Rice, R.L. Richards. Fifteen-year awards. Darla Myatt. Rebecca Sanchez. Brandon Thomason can't be here. Mrs. Bessire, will you pick up his? Year awards. Rachel Alvarado. Linda Cogliandro. Luis Quintana. Rhonda Stevens. And Miss Linda Washington. Thirty-year awards. 30. How many in here are not age 30 yet? 30-year awards. Miss Denise Dunham. And and Miss B. Olivas. Seems like we had one person not come forward at the right time. I'm not sure. So, could you, who was that?
Kaylin Kaufman.
Kaylin Kaufman, please come forward for your 5 minutes. Thank you, Miss Olivas. I appreciate that. We have one more award. The person's not able to be here today, but it's 45 years. 45 years. He's not able to be here. I'm going to ask Fede if he would come up and get this award for Emilio Pee Wee Estrada. That finishes the service awards, and we're going to go on to some more door prizes. Thank you, school board, for coming and helping us with those service awards.
Zadi Reglado. Hilda Morales. Nora Burris.
Ms. McCamish, will you make your way to the podium? We have some short presentations to make right now. The first one is from Texas Classroom Teachers Association, Ms. Val McCamish.
On behalf of our local TCTA chapter, we want to welcome you back. Most of you are familiar with TCTA. It is our state's largest teacher organization, and as Doc Elder mentioned, Texas does not have NEA, but we have Texas Classroom Teachers Association, which lobbies and works on the state level and lobbies for our salaries, for safety in our classroom, the legislative issues that are going on now. So if you are not familiar with all that they are doing, please go to our website, tcta.org, and look at the wonderful things they're doing. We all know and realize the importance of being involved in our professional organizations and giving a voice for ourselves, but we also need to realize in this day and time when parents are so litigious, when social media is an issue, things that go on in our classroom that are questioned, and our validity as educators are now being questioned, that we need to protect ourselves. And TCTA is one of the professional organizations that you can choose to be involved with through and using our professional liability insurance. This is a day and time where none of us need to be in a classroom without some sort of protection. And whether that's through your coaches organization, whether your subject matter association, or through TCTA, it is of utmost importance that you have some sort of liability insurance to protect you in case the need arises. TCTA offers 8 full-time attorneys that are available just through a phone call. You call the office and they will connect you with an attorney to speak with you about any issue that comes about. This year, I also want to encourage you to be a voice on your campus, engage your teachers and your administrations in conversations about what's going on in our classrooms. When things are going good, we just sort of sit by and let things happen because things are going well. But it's when things start going bad or stress arises that tempers can flare. So I really encourage you to have those open and candid conversations with people and ask the questions to find out what's going on. An example of this is last year when we had some payroll issues. And I personally reached out to Mr. James and asked him for an explanation, asked him what was going on and if he could give us some information. And he was very forthcoming. He tried to fix the problem and he fixed the problem and is very transparent with us. So we are very appreciative on the TCTA level of the things that our administration is willing to do for teachers and willing to give us the information when we ask our questions. This year, membership is online again. You should have received an email already if you were a past member, if you have not been a member. And this also includes our teachers' assistants, our secretaries, any support staff are also eligible to be part of TCTA. There's a table out in the Commons area that has some membership forms, has a QR code you can scan. You can also speak to one of your representatives on your campus. At the high school, it's myself and Ms. Smith. At DeShazo, it is Cheyenne Cage. At the junior high, it's Kerry Frost and Ms. Sierra. And at Dillman, it's Angela Reyes. And I also forgot at DeShazo, it's Lydia Campos, excuse me. So please reach out to those of us if you have a problem with your membership. I also have the pre-printed membership forms that'll come to your mailbox for those of you that are past members. This year, TCTA is very honored and excited to honor one of our own. TCTA last year worked in conjunction with the members at the high school to nominate Ms. Cindy Bessire as Administrator of the Year. And I just want to read a couple things that our nominating group came up with and used as part of the nomination form for Ms. Bessire. Under the dedicated leadership of Ms. Cindy Bessire, the morale, the environment, and most of all, student success at Muleshoe High School have increased leaps and bounds. Ms. Bessire is the epitome of hard work and devotion and truly leads by example. Her actions mirror the high standards she has for herself as well as for the students and staff at MHS. Among the successes Muleshoe High School has seen under Bessire's leadership is the school's recent nomination as a National Blue Ribbon School for closing achievement gaps as it works to help students prepare for college and their futures in the workforce. And this is truly where Ms. Bessire's heart lies. She works with our at-risk students. She goes above and beyond. She takes students in during advisory periods to make sure they're turning in homework. She works with the teachers of those students to make sure that we're closing the gaps and that we're focusing on the students who need to be focused too. The TCTA statewide awards were judged by members of the TCTA's executive board. One judge said Bessire stood out from the other nominated administrators because she just does her regular duties and clearly leads by example. Another of the nominating committee members, or the awards committee members, said, "She sounds like someone I'd love to work for. I always admire administrators who remember what it's like to be in the classroom and who don't hide in an office." So it is with great honor that we recognize Ms. Bessire today on behalf of TCTA as Administrator of the Year for 2022.
And I do want to say just one thing. I appreciate the nomination. I am one. But it's like I told my staff, it all goes back to them. I call them my blessings because every day I get to come work with a tremendous staff that works hard, that believes in children, that believes in our education system, that truly wants to know what's best for our students. And that is a blessing to me, to come every day and work with the staff I have. My administration, other staff at campuses, the vertical alignment, the other principals. I mean, this is a fantastic place to work. And I cannot thank you enough. I'm very humbled, but like I say, the hard work goes to my staff every single day. So thank you so much.
One little anecdotal note that I remember, Mrs. Bessire used to be the junior high principal, and she came in one day in the spring. She don't mind me telling this story, and she was just a little frustrated. And she said, I can't understand what's going on. I said, well, tell me what's going on. She goes, well, my staff is not coming happy to work. And I'm like, excuse me? And she says, my staff is not, she says, I want them to come and be happy at work. And if you think about that, you know, it's important to all of us. We wake up in the morning to try to take care of these kids. And I always remember that when she came over and visited with me and just said, I like my staff to be happy. And it's important. And if you're tenure and you're not feeling well, it's okay. Let's try to get happy and try to make good things happen. Congratulations, Cindy.